Should you script your videos, outline them, or just wing it? Well, I think it depends on two things. On the type of video you're making and, well, on you. For example, if you're a vlogger, it kind of defeats the purpose for you to be out in the world, get your camera set up, and then hit record and then be constantly checking a piece of paper for your lines. But if you make a lot of videos at home where you're talking about a certain topic, it might make sense to have a script, both to keep your thoughts organized and concise. Because it's you who's in charge of keeping your audience engaged. It's you who's supposed to be the subject matter expert. And it's you, hopefully, that should know yourself best. You need to figure out what style of line delivery makes you sound the most like a human. Because that's the goal here. Sound real and act natural in front of the camera. And that takes time. Most people aren't comfortable when they hit record. I'd say for 99.9% of us, that only gets better through repetition. And unfortunately for that 0.1%, no amount of money or resources can help you.
We have just applied the Sweet Baby Rays. Sweet Baby Rays.
But even when you are comfortable, you still have to be focused. So how do you do that? Well, because I don't know you personally, I can't really speculate on how you should write your own videos, but what I can do is tell you what's worked for me. I used to wing it. I'd start recording without anything prepared other than knowing I was at point A and I needed to get to point B. So as you can imagine, there was a lot of rambling happening. There was a lot of fun moments too, and some organic stuff that I would end up using. But ultimately, I found that my raw footage was on the longer side, and it took me a long time in editing to get down to the best bits. I feel like winging it works the best when you have a solid handle on the subject matter and you just have something you want to get out, something you want to say. Perhaps you're burdened with time constraints. Let's say you make videos about holiday lights and some new LED model came out and you feel like you gotta get something out ASAP, like your opinion on it, so you can keep your audience informed before the holiday rush. In that scenario, winging it makes total sense. Another good thing about winging it is it requires no additional setup. Once you know what you want to talk about, you can just sit down and hit record. I know for me though, I felt like I needed a little bit more structure. That's when I upgraded to outlines. A few weeks ago, I was making a video about the effectiveness of sharing YouTube videos on other social platforms. I filmed it in the woods and I had a little piece of paper with me that had a general outline on it. That was ideal for me because I knew I wanted to film outside, I only had an hour to film it, and because I had to touch on X, Y, and Z topic, I could go to a new place in the woods, talk about that specific topic, and then move on. And while I definitely had a couple clips from that video that were a little bit longer than I wanted, there was nothing that I forgot. I didn't forget anything I wanted to say. And so that to me felt like a win. It was also a beautiful fall day and Rosie was being hilarious.
Dada,
Yeah?
she's trying to puke.
She's not trying to poop, and if she does, I have a bag in my pocket. It's okay.
Lately though, because I've committed to a very specific uploading schedule and because I film primarily after the kids go to bed, my current favorite method is writing my own scripts. I think it's helping me become a stronger writer, and that's another one of those skills that only gets better through repetition, and it's something that I definitely want to continue to work at. It also helps me feel more prepared. Like, it's a good feeling knowing that before I even sit down, I know exactly what I want to say. And because I have all my lines in front of me, I can try different takes of a certain sentence if I want. I wouldn't necessarily do that if I were just riffing. I wouldn't necessarily do that if I were just riffing. I wouldn't necessarily do that if I were just riffing. So I film these videos against a green screen, I reference the lines on my computer beside me, and then I deliver them into the camera, and I think it works pretty well. I add different backgrounds, and that gives me time to appropriately space out each line so it ends up sounding pretty natural in the end. But if all you have is a dedicated place to film and a script, I suggest going line by line, then delivering each one into the camera, or as many chunks as you can memorize, and then you can make it look more natural during the editing process by zooming slightly in and out of the frame, and that way you're masking any jump cuts that would be present otherwise. If I didn't do that, it would be slightly more noticeable. Don't you agree? So that's that. Again, I think it depends on the video you're making and how well you know your stuff. I'd love to know what works best for you. What's your preferred method? Let me know in the comments.